Hey everyone, welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today we're going to be covering every step of the way that you need to take a product from an idea to an actual landed product at an Amazon warehouse. We're going to be discussing what happens after you decide. Where do you get a sample from? Where do you find a supplier? How do you ship it? So I'm going to be trying to condense all of those ideas down into one simple format where you can see, okay, here's the clear-cut process, stepping stones in the garden, step on this, then go to that, then go to that, then go to that. Hopefully I can provide some clarity on the topic and give you a little bit of a broader view of how the whole process works. So if you happen to be new, be sure to like and subscribe. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. So we're going to move over into my computer here. We're just going to be using this as an example. So let's say hypothetically we wanted to launch this product. Okay, we've determined that search volume is good. There's a lack of high quality competitors. We have a good way of increasing our perceived product value. What next? So what's the first thing that we should do once we know that we want to sell this? Well, we need to find someone who's going to be able to sell it to us so then we can sell it to a customer. So you would take your search term and you would simply go to a website called Alibaba. Many of you will know what this site is. You've probably heard of it 1,000 times before, so I'm not going to exactly spend too much time going over what Alibaba is, but you would take your product and you would search it in Alibaba. Now notice what I just did there. I took the idea and instead of doing products, I did suppliers. Because for any given search term, there might be 1,000 product ideas or product listings on Alibaba, but from 1,000 product listings, maybe only 85 suppliers are listing all 1,000 of those products. And then maybe out of those suppliers, only 50 of them are actually willing to do trade assurance, okay? So we can actually select trade assurance right here. We could also go as far as doing a verified supplier as well, if you wanted to do that. Now we have a verified trade assurance supplier, okay? If that's something that you wanted to do, I'm usually not honestly that strict, but those are some criteria that you could filter down. Then we could look through here. And one thing you'll notice is this is their years that they've been in business with Alibaba. At least that's my understanding of this, okay? Sometimes it'll be like, 12 years, 13 years. That's a really old supplier, right? I'm not afraid to work with companies that have only been around for 1 or 2 years, at least on this platform. To me, it doesn't bother me that much because I'm going to be working with them. I'm going to be getting samples from them. And then that brings us to our next step. So once you find a supplier that is both verified and allows you to use trade assurance, and it's going to sell you the right product. And here's a variation of this product that's interesting. All right, so say we wanted to sell this product here. We would simply hit contact supplier and you would ask them for a quote of say anywhere from 250 to 500 units for a first order. Now you'll know more about how many units you want to order, so I'm not going to tell you exactly how many to order. Once you get a quote from your supplier, you're going to have to get a shipping quote. Okay, to get a shipping quote, you have two options. You can either ask your supplier for a shipping quote, and your supplier will usually have their own freight forwarder. And I would specify that you would like door-to-door shipping so you don't have to handle anything. Or the second thing you could do is just simply find your own freight forwarder. So you could, look up best reviews for certain freight forwarders, do something like this for Amazon sellers, and go ahead and proceed with them. So basically at the end of the day, you need to get a product quote from your supplier, and you need to get a shipping quote from your supplier. Once you have those quotes, it's going to allow you to go ahead and calculate your profit margins, right? So let's just say that all in, it was going to cost us $10, so maybe $8 to purchase the product and $2 to ship this product. Okay, now we were looking at something that was kind of similar to this, right? We were looking at this little one-tier version, and we had a little bit of a different design on it. So we could use this as reference, right? Now we could come up here and use Profitability Calculator. It's a free tool. You could get it if you want from the Chrome Web Store by Helium 10. And all we would have to do is put in our estimated cost, okay? So we'll go ahead and we'll say that this was $10. I think that's pretty realistic, honestly. And we can see here we have a net profit per sale of $12.23. We have a margin of 38%, and we have an ROI of 121%. I don't see anything horribly wrong with those numbers. I'd like the ROI to be a bit higher. Perhaps we could get our product costs down, but I would say overall a 40% margin or a 38% margin on this product is okay. And that was just shooting out of the gutter, right? $10 per unit. If this was something close to $7 per unit after shipping, we're hitting our 200% ROI, we're close to 50% margin, we're making $15 per unit. Now we're really getting closer to a margin that I would like. So far we've covered that you need to reach out to a supplier and get a shipping and a cost of goods quote. And then you're just gonna figure out your profit margin. Now, once you've done that and everything checks out, you never work with a supplier until they've proven that they can send you a reliable product. So you're gonna ask them for a sample. Usually you're gonna have to pay shipping for that sample. So to be anywhere from a product, this might be around $75 to $80. It's a little bit of a bigger product. And you would just simply pay them through trade assurance. You'd wanna make it very well known to them that you only wanna pay with trade assurance. You'd use trade assurance or PayPal, something that's gonna be insured. And on top of that, you might wanna use a credit card, which will also be insured. So you're gonna get your sample. Now let's fast forward maybe 13 days or so. Your sample comes in and it's exactly what it looks like in the picture. The quality's good. It wasn't broken during shipping. That generally signifies that they are able to get it to you under unnormal circumstances, just shipping one from China to the US. That's pretty good if they can get it to you unbroken. So if it looks good, the quality's there, it's not a garbage product, that's a really good signal that you can go ahead and you can move along with this supplier. Now, what you would want to do after that point is you would want to start paying them about 30% to start your production. Okay, so 30% of the total invoice amount negotiated, right? You figure out your cost, you both agree on it. You would want to have them create an invoice for you to pay 30% so they can start producing it. Okay. In the meantime, what you need to do is you need to head back to Amazon. As soon as you know you're going to start actually selling this, you need to head over to your Seller Central account. And once you're in Seller Central, you need to actually go to Catalog, Add Products, and then you need to do I'm adding a product not sold on Amazon. Okay. And if you don't know how to make your listing, just go watch this video right here. I will leave that linked down in the description below as well. It would take me an additional 45 minutes to describe to you how to create a listing. You just go simply watch that free video that I made on the channel here after you finish watching this video if you're curious about that. Now, once you've made your product, then the first thing that you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to send them your item labels, okay? So your manufacturer is gonna need to put Amazon barcodes on the outside of every product. So you're gonna select the product of the listing that you've made and you're gonna hit print item labels. Once you come to the print item labels page here, you're gonna change the number of labels to 30, okay? And then you're gonna hit print item labels. Now this is a 30 up label sheet. So when you hit print item labels, it's gonna give you a download. Once you open that download, it'll simply be one sheet of item labels. Now these are all the same, okay? So they can just copy and paste this and keep printing this as many times as they need. That's why we don't actually have to print or send them a download with 300 or 500 labels. They could just simply keep using this one, okay? So we would save this to our computer, and then we would message our supplier with these labels and say, here's the labels that I need stickered on the outside of each individual product packaging. So we have guitar strings here, right? We need one of those labels, which would just be a barcode stickered on the outside of our product packaging. Or in this case, it's on the inside under a little OPP bag, okay? But that's how that process works, okay? And then let's fast forward 3 weeks, okay? Manufacturing process is done. You're now faced with the option of sending your supplier a inspector to go see if all of the way they've packed it and all the products are okay. They're gonna randomly check several different products and make sure that nothing is damaged and everything looks good. It's ready to head to the customer, well, to Amazon and then to the customer, right? You can do that. I will be honest, I've never ever hired an inspector. That might be hard for a lot of you to believe, but I am like the opposite of a Machiavellian. So I tend to definitely trust supplier relationships, especially if I've gotten a good sample from them. What I do often have my suppliers do is I'll simply have them take a video of my shipment. Okay, I'll have them like go show me the boxes, how everything's packed. If everything looks very neatly packed, then I'm really not too worried about, it getting here, okay? It's in the proper packaging, it's packaged well, I'm okay with that, okay? If you wanna hire an inspector, it's okay. It's a few $100s. You could have a third-party company go out and inspect your shipment before it takes off. If everything's okay, then it'll just get shipped just like that. If everything's not okay, well then your supplier is gonna, of course, be responsible for fixing that issue, which is the pro of using an inspector. Now, one thing that we did skip over that I want to touch on is if you want custom product packaging, you would of course have to do that around the similar time that you would be creating your listing and printing your item labels. Before your supplier starts doing things, don't just 2 weeks into the process say, oh yeah, by the way, I need a custom box. That would be one of the first things that you're telling them, okay? So that would probably be negotiated into the invoice and everything. It's usually around 50 cents a box. So you would get a Fiverr Adobe Illustrator artist to design your product packaging for you, and then simply send your supplier that file, and they would be able to print those on the boxes. Then you'd have custom packaging. Sometimes there will be a minimum order quantity associated with doing custom packaging, where you might be required to order 500 minimum. Sometimes that is negotiable. One thing that you can do is, if you know that this is something you'll be reordering, you could just make a first order of products of 250. If the box quantity minimum order quantity is 500, have them make 500 boxes, but only order 250 units. So then you just have your other boxes there that you paid $125 for, just kind of sitting there. And if worst case scenario, you don't want to reorder, it was just $125 for those boxes, okay? Best case scenario is actually increases or decreases your lead time the next time you want to order. So now we've assumed that we have the product manufactured, it's been inspected or not, and you trust your supplier, and you're willing to get it sent over, okay? Now at this time, this is when you have your supplier apply your carton labels, okay? So back to Seller Central, back to inventory. When you need to have your supplier send anything, now you have to do this every time they send it, not just the first time. You go to send/replenish inventory, okay? Now, again, I just made a video about how to send inventory directly from your manufacturer to Amazon. So you can watch this video right here, and that will also be linked down below, and you can watch that after this video if you want a complete free step-by-step guide of how to do that process. So once you get your carton labels, your supplier will put those on the outside of each individual shipping box, which usually contains 10 or more individual products, and that will get shipped either with your own separate freight forwarder or with your supplier's freight forwarder as kind of just a package deal. They're making it and they're shipping it for you directly to the addresses that are shown on the shipping labels by Amazon, the one that Amazon gave you. Now, in the meantime, this is a great time to get your product photography done. So what you can do is, right before your supplier sends all of the units out, ask them to make one additional unit that's in your custom packaging that's really nice, and have them send that to your photographer directly. So this is the point in time, generally right when your shipment's getting finished up, and your packaging is done and the product looks good, that's when you would want to hire a third-party photographer. Okay, so you can go on a website like Fiverr, or you could go on like Upwork, or Jungle Market is a good one for Amazon sellers. And you can go get your photography done. And then right around the time you're doing your photography, maybe that takes a week or two, your shipment should be on its way to the US. You finish up your photography, shipment arrives, the listing goes active. That is the process from finding a product to getting it to Amazon. Now, if you don't know what to do after that point, then you're obviously onto PPC and launch. That's a topic for another video. I do have videos about that on my channel if you want to go watch those as well. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I really have just been getting a lot of comments asking for a video like this, where I just lay out the steps very clear cut about how you get a product from an idea to actually landing at a warehouse. So that was hopefully a helpful little walkthrough for you guys. All right, be sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy today's video. Other than that, I'll be seeing you here on the channel tomorrow for another video. Thanks so much. Later.